On today's episode of the Unveil podcast, Brace and I discuss success. We give you all of the Unveil updates and we use that to bounce into a discussion about what is success really? Can you just manifest it? Can you just hope that it happens? What proactive action do you need to take? And we discuss milestones. We discuss the pressure that we put on ourselves to be externally successful, to meet targets that have nothing to do with us. We share about how we ourselves have met with the challenge of needing to meet other people's desires for our lives and how to then identify our own desires, wants, needs, and idea of what success means to us. And of course, we then get practical. We support you to understand how to see your life if you feel that you're not being successful at this moment in time, and how to make changes and step into being more successful and getting what you truly desire.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brace Harris.
And my name is Victoria Fenton.
And we are...
Slightly frustrated, Unveil.
You just took my joke. I was going to say something immediately after you said unveil and say, and we are also.
Well, you shouldn't have started it where I get the good words in our script. Like,
oh no, but it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love it. I love it.
How
Great minds.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful.
Explain to all of our YouTube viewers and podcast listeners the only reason we are frustrated, and thank you so much to EDS South Africa, who was trying to help us just now.
Yes.
We tried to go live on Instagram. What happened, Brace?
So we were able to invite each other through Unveil accounts, our personal accounts, and then we would not be able to join. Like our join room button that was just like you're supposed to push and then you're in, just was not working.
Wasn't
for either of us.
Nope.
And we did lots of Googling and everything started to get really convoluted and mixed and tied up. And it's like, okay,
we'll just not.
Yeah, we will save this for another day.
Yes.
We have go for it.
I was just going to say, we will get the tech sorted, but we've only got like another opportunity for us to go live when we're in separate countries, Brace, because
we'll be live together. Yay.
I'm coming home.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. With bells and whistles and all the things.
On a 5-year visa. So for anyone who has been following along on the journey, I finally have been granted my US visa. It wasn't really a question in the end, but it was like a process that I had to go through, and 49 million hours in the US Embassy, or maybe it just felt like that. And a 2-minute interview, 274 pages of a PDF, and 2-minute interview where somebody was just like, so what's your business about then? And they were like, okay, go pay us some more money. and then here you have a
welcome.
Visa.
Yes.
So
we're very excited.
Yeah, waiting for passport return, and then I will be winding my way back stateside. Yay.
Pretty much. Well, I don't think I can say permanently, but a significant amount of time without needing to follow the rules of we'll see you later.
Right.
And then you can come back later. And then we'll see you later. And then you can come back later.
Which aren't really the rules, because that's kind of technically breaking the rules. So that's not what I was doing at all. I wasn't like using my tourist visa to try. But it's all good. And so as you were saying, pretty much permanently, I will be definitely based out there. There are some more updates that we're going to share with you right now as well, just because there's been quite a lot of movement and shaking and all that jazz.
Yes.
I'm in a music room for anyone who it's clearly affecting me. It's like seeping into my pores.
This is good. It's osmosis.
Right. Yeah. Piano.
This is
I
good.
won't play it.
I was kind of hoping you would a little bit.
Would we just serenade you?
I don't know. We'll make sure that it is. Oh shoot! What's the term where you get to use?
Yeah, copyright. Copyright free or whatever it is. Yeah. Oh, come on, Bryce. Let's get into sharing the updates. Go on.
Okay, so we have hired some folks that are going to be helping us out. Some more people are going to be added to our Unveil team, which we are very excited about. We are going to be able to free ourselves up a little bit more to be able to interact more with everyone, our audience. Anyone who's interested will be able to make that a much more of a priority for us. So all the technical side can be handled by people who are a little bit more efficient than myself.
Well, also like Victoria that working out how to go live on Instagram might be number one on their to-do list.
It's like, oh, they might feel sorry for us, especially here in the beginning. They're like, "Oh, you precious,
really?
precious little." We'll show you how to do that. But Victoria and I are pretty quick learn.
Yeah, well, we are when we get there, but it frees me up in particular to not be focused on all the content, sort of the back end. I don't think people are realizing quite the size of what we're trying to build here, particularly when it comes to our academy. And there's even conversations that I've had this week where what I'm really feeling into for the direction of that for us is something much bigger than just the two of us trying to run some courses. And there's a need for the infrastructure, and a bigger need for infrastructure than I even envisaged. And that's all fine. It's all necessary, and it's all part of delivering a really good service. But when I've been trying to do it all myself, it is incredibly frustrating, and it just takes all of my time away from, creating decent content for social media, building the courses themselves, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to free us up to be very much more who we're supposed to be in this business, rather than the everything. So
I absolutely, and it's so necessary. Anyone out there who's trying to do it all yourself can very much empathize with what we are moving through. And as our team expands, we are much happier and much more productive. So it's an investment into Unveil and to everyone out there, because in the end you reap the benefits.
Yeah. And I think the thing for us is that we are doing things differently. We are incredibly careful about how we do everything. And so for me to choose somebody in order to be kind of my right-hand person is what they're going to end up being, is a big thing. And it's a big onboarding learning curve for someone to really grasp, because everything that we do is done with such precision, and all of our language is very precise. All of our choices in terms of everything from colors to logos to everything is incredibly intentional. And that means that there is going to be a learning curve for our new VA. It's a virtual assistant that we're kind of bringing on first. So that brings us on to the second piece of news, which is that because of all of the training and the time that we need to get bedded in, both me back in the States and our team built out, and we're changing a few systems, we have actually made the decision to delay the launch of the Academy. And that will include delaying the online virtual workshop and the launch of the online transformational healing retreat. Those two things are going to happen around about the same time, but we are going to give early access to our online transformational healing retreat to people who have attended the workshop. Early access and a little bit of a discount. So if you're interested and you're going to want to do the course, have a think about doing the workshop, because you'll get the course first. So the new date, and the Queen will be happy with me that we've changed it, because she cares of what Unveil are doing, of course, is going to be July. So it's a month later, July the 9th and 10th. So it's that weekend in July. And I'm still going to be in LA at that point. There's another little personal update, which I'll give in a second, but I'm still going to be in LA. We are going to be together. We are going to be in my house, I hope, that is now booked. And we are going to deliver the workshop then live 9th and 10th of July. And again, we've said this before, but we'll say it again for anyone joining us now, that will be in 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. PST. So we are going to be in LA time zone, but there will be replays available for a full week, including the following weekend, for anyone who's not in that time zone, can't attend live. It's going to be a great experience if you're live. We are going to be live coaching. We're going to be answering tons of Q&As. I'm doing a whole thing on human design where I will talk about people's designs specifically if they want us to. Not everyone's, but there's it's a whole event for us because it really is, it's kind of our big launch, that workshop. So there will be surprises, there will be, fun and games. And basically you're getting our little dynamic live for a whole weekend in person. And people want to experience that before, because I realized the other day that like nobody has hung out with you and me. Apart from Letty, apart from your wife, who just lets us do our weird, crazy, it's just them again. And she's like, hi, Lee. So yeah, hanging out with Grace and myself is a trip. So yeah, we'd love for you to kind of join, be around, ask all the questions. Riley, who's making an appearance right now, won't be making an appearance on the day because she will just bark at us all.
Yes, she will. She'll be guarding the door.
Guarding the door.
Yes. Perfect.
So yes, all of the registration stuff, I mean, obviously it's now far further away. So people are not thinking about July just yet. And that's absolutely fine. Anyone who bought a ticket already, we have emailed them and we're going to transfer their tickets over. There's no real pressure to get going. We aren't particularly capping the spots on the workshop itself, but we are capping the spots on getting a bonus power session with both Grace and myself afterwards. And those are going to take place in the month after the workshop so that you can get all of the goodness from the workshop and still ask more questions.
Powerful
and you can
stuff.
choose to just speak to one of us. If you would rather speak to Brace and don't want to talk to me, that's absolutely fine.
And vice versa. It's just, what are you in the mood for? Are you in the mood for poke from me? Because I will come after you in the best way, in the most loving way. But our goal is to make you and to release within yourself your ultimate expression of you, which is the whole goal for all this work anyway. So we'll definitely push you to be the best version. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and final bit of news, and this is not really news, it's just an opening and an open question, is that because of who I am and what I'm doing and where I'm kind of moving towards, and I don't know that I'm necessarily going to talk about it, but I'm doing some more training myself. And, we as coaches, we always have coaches and we always do coaching and we always keep expanding our skill set so we can expand our scope of practice. So I'm going to be investing time and energy in that over the next few years as well. But also investing in myself. And that's going to be the topic of our conversation today when we eventually get to it, which we will do. But I am going to be, after our workshop the following week, actually, I will be heading off to Austin, Texas, and I'm going to be hanging out there for a little bit to catch up with all my people down there, all of our people, all of our fellow graduates, and a host of other friends that I have down there. So getting just to connect with that network again a little bit, just to explore and to see where I ultimately want my home base to be. And I will always be based between LA and Austin if I head out there, because some dude who I happen to be in business with kind of has a life and a home and everything in LA. So yeah, we're always going to be together, but we will design all of our future coach training academy certification, which is coming end of the year now because we've got help, so we can bring it forward a little bit. We will navigate that so that we're in the right place at the right time for that with each other and the distance stuff. So it's all coming. We're all getting there. It's just been a heck of a roller coaster from the moment I left, which is now a couple of months ago.
Yeah. And now we're kind of pulling into this station, which is going to be nice. We can actually get off the roller coaster and find some stability, even more so And I can't imagine what that's going to be like, because we continue to make big moves
Yeah.
this far away from each other when we're together. It's crazy. All right. Crazy.
Crazy.
All right. All right. So today, discussion. Victoria and I earlier were musing about, and this is one of my favorite type of podcasts that we do. We didn't necessarily have a plan. We're just like, what's really present? What's resonating for you right now? And it's really this feeling, and some of my clients are experiencing this. It's like what success actually means for us. It's like, okay, what is success for me? You as the individual, what does success mean for you? Just take a second and really ponder that. I know that's maybe a very broad question, but what does success in your life mean to you? Is it job? Is it relationship? Is it family? Are there certain expectations that you have had of yourself, or feel like others may have of you, that you have implemented into your life? Do you feel successful? Are you fulfilled in said success? If you feel like you are there or not, or maybe you've never even really thought about it before. And that's kind of where we wanted to take you guys today, everyone. Sorry, again, I'm learning take everyone today. It's like, what is success for you? And if you don't necessarily feel like you've achieved it, how do you get there? How do you get there? I think that's a very fair question. And it's one that we want to ask, but maybe a lot of us, myself included, for years, don't feel like anyone necessarily has the answer, because you get a different answer from every single person ever. Mm. And then it comes down to, what do you want? What is your version of success? And where does your version of success come from? Does it come strictly from within yourself? Or is it, mom and dad wanted me to be this, or, my partner needs me to be here? Or is it, I want to be here, I am fulfilled here? This is where I feel like everything that I want and need, and my drive that gets me up every day, is fulfilled in this area. And again, that area shifts and changes for everyone. Yes, that's what I have to get your brain moving and thinking, and just becoming aware of what everything really is for you.
It's a funny thing. It's some of the hardest homework I ever give my clients is the desires list. What do you really want? Because it's so conditioned by what we think is possible. And that's often limited and capped. And so we go to the probable and not the absolutely possible. And also, we are so used to not being allowed to truly dream fantastically, particularly Brits. Like, we're very kind of like staid in our approach to what we think is available to us. And a lot of this discussion, we kind of meandered around a little bit, because it could look on the outside, to anyone looking at our business, we've now pushed launches several times. Everything's moving down the year. It's going to be 7 months into the year before we actually launch the thing that we've known we were going to launch from like January. And it feels very much like if we had a conventional idea of success, we would be sitting in a place of judgment right now. And I think that's the thing that what I see when I look at success and when I look at the way people determine success is it tends to be comparative. It tends to be success in relation to or in comparison to. So it's the keeping up with the Joneses, it's the better, worse, it's the all of that kind of stuff. So technically, did we stick to our business plan that I submitted to get that visa that we have just? No, absolutely not. But do I feel like this week in particular has been a week of huge success for Unveil because we've chosen not to do things and we've chosen to hold back on things? Abso-freaking-lutely. And the only thing that's different in that for us is our perspective on what is actually success. And so for us as a company, it's the right thing at the right time. It's everything to do with the way I work in Unveil Premier, and I'm just building a whole expose on it. And I say in it, we do the precise right thing at the precise right time. And that, from that perspective, is a, decades-long observation about which string to pull to affect the right cascade of change through the system. But when it comes to our business, it's like we don't try and force the river into the bottom line. It's not what we're doing. And that gives us so much freedom within where we choose to place our idea of success.
Yeah. And it also, I feel, gives us the opportunity to move through anything that comes up that may trigger a fear. It's like, it gives us room to work the muscle that may be kind of knotted up within us as individuals as well. It's just there's so much more forgiveness and compassion and freedom for the things that might, again, and I'm just repeating myself now, that might pop up in a fear base. Be like, it's not necessarily safe. What do I do? Or we have that freedom and environment and space to be like, okay, why did that fear or thought or hesitation even come up in the first place? And it gives us the opportunity to go in and really work that. And that opens us up to be even more free as we move forward. So it's just benefit after benefit after benefit after benefit.
And
it's
we're
really,
very
really
lucky.
Lovely.
Like, we get to design our own life. We get to, it's not for the faint of heart, this whole entrepreneurial lifestyle.
That's true.
But to a large degree, maybe not throughout my entire working life, but for a lot of it, I have had the luxury of being able to aim for what was a dynamically driven thing from within me that was coming out as an emanation, whether I was in my functional medicine business. I mean, I came across a post today that I wrote. I was like, that was awesome. That was really good. So it's always been that for me. But a lot of people listening to this podcast are like, but, I'm just living that normal life where I have to meet the milestones. Like, I've chosen the career and I'm kind of stuck in it now. And it's like, we don't want to just give a kind of success isn't what you think it is. Go do a deep dive into your inner, emotional realm and determine that success is somewhere else, because that's not like we said last time in a jokey way about everything's about trauma. It's like getting it right where we give you the inspiration to make changes if you would like to, but also recognize that big leaps are not always the safest thing for our nervous system to do is all of our challenge at Unveil. So we kind of know that if you're in a job that sucks, or you don't like the thing, or you don't feel like you're successful, what you really, quote, should be doing is doing something about it. But we also get, because we are trauma informed, that the reasons why we don't do things about it are legion, and it's not safe for us to sit here and say, change, when it's not always possible. And it's not always actually the right thing at that right time. Like, change for change's sake is not the right thing at the right time. Oh, sorry for everyone on YouTube. I'm at my dad's house right now, and all of my lights have just come on because it's 8:00 at night, which is my automated house. So my light levels have just changed. And let's talk about that, because this is a really interesting thing about success. This house that I'm sitting in right now is the epitome of two successful people having had successful careers in pharmaceutical companies, making probably six figures. I never asked, and actually investing in the symbol of success, that is a very large, very lovely estate house type thing in Commuter Belt in Hertfordshire, which people in the UK will get what that means. That means you can get into London very quickly, but we're all kind of in the countryside. The garden's beautiful. The kitchen is like palatial. There's just lots of nice touches. And if you're watching on YouTube, you will see I'm in a music room where there are 3 pianos, 5 guitars, a ukulele, and a flute that's actually mine. And all of the technical bells and whistles. And, this is like it's a representation of success. It's a manifestation, the big house thing. And normally I would feel the disconnect in that. I would normally feel, oh, this is an ostentatious symbol and it's not actually a real home. This is a real home. It does feel like that. I always feel very comfortable here. And that, again, it's like, why do you have the big house? This is the big house on the common in a quintessential English village. Everyone knows the house. Everyone knows who lives here. It's that kind of vibe. And to everyone else, this is an aspiration house. To me, this is an aspiration house. This is gorgeous. But it's like, why? Why are houses aspirational? Why is that status symbol something that is successful? Is it successful because you've got the money to afford it? Or is it a successful thing because it's where you feel like you can exhale and breathe and expand, and it's your home and it's your safe place? And those are two very different things.
Yeah, little sanctuary.
Right. And it's a big conversation. Obviously, like if you've listened to the beginning and you kind of know that I'm looking at LA and Austin, this is the very reason. It's like I'm not looking at the status symbol element of living in one of these places. It's like I need to have my sanctuary, and it isn't so I can say to everyone, oh, I've got the big house on the common. It's so I've got the safe space. And that to me is success. Finding my roots. If anyone listened to my chaotic, I've just got back to LA podcast when we did it last time, finding my house and my car. And actually we've nailed it this time, haven't we? Right? We've kind of like got the system down. But it's important because that, to me, is the kind of thing that ensures my success. And it is a different way of looking at things. It's like success can just be an external metric. How much money do you have? Are you in a successful relationship? Do you have a good friendship circle? Do you, feel like you can buy everything that you want? That's very external. And I like to introduce the concept of prosperity instead, in terms of thinking about, are you really rich? Do you really have riches that make you feel everything that you think success is going to make you feel?
Let that marinate for a little bit, everyone. Do you have it?
And when you, if anyone's read The Secret and thinks about manifestation, when you break down the technique of that, the whole point of it is to tune into the feeling that you will feel when you have the thing. I hate The Secret and manifestation, by the way. I've got a real problem with it, but it's not a topic for another day. But if you tune into what's actually being said there, what it's saying is we don't ever want things. We want the way things are going to make us feel. It's a big coaching technique and trick, actually. We get clients to tune into the way the thing is going to make them feel rather than the thing itself. And when you do that with your list of what is successful, it gives you a very different list to what it would be if you were just like, what do I want it to look like? And that's the whole difference between success and prosperity. Success is, well, depending on how you want to terminology it, but like success can be just what it looks like. Prosperity is what it feels like to be in the experience of having and being that thing.
It's kind of like, I know one day we were talking about joy, like joy and happiness. Like happiness is one thing, but joy is this complete immersion in, like, happiness is a part of it. Success is a part of prosperity, but I'm loving this. Like, we get to define what prosperity means for us. Let's not just stop at success, because then we kind of sell ourselves short. And it actually kind of goes with our philosophy in Unveil about, you have to do more than just the mindset. You have to do more than just the body. You have to do more than just the spiritual side. You need all of those aspects to have this full holistic experience of yourself. And I love that you have used the word prosperity, because success is a part of that, but you need all the pieces to have this prosperous experience. Is that? Yeah. No. Yes.
Yeah. No.
Maybe
Absolutely.
So?
Yeah. No. And it feels very much like there is. Let's step out of the kind of metaphysical, conceptual, and go right into the granular, and actually talk about, people feel like there is a timeline to life, and they feel like there is this milestones that they should be hitting, and there are criteria that they should meet in order to be okay, whether it's the degree, then the relationship, then the marriage, then the kids, then the successful career, then the house, then the car, then that's kind of like the trajectory that people think they should be on. And that's where we fail, in terms of when we don't meet those things, we feel like we haven't been successful. The only problem with that, and this is a huge statement, not just about success, but the biggest problem is expectation, not what actually happened. Like, the flaw in the system typically is human expectations. It's like what we thought we needed to be, or what we thought was going to happen. The biggest problem, and it's the biggest cause of disappointment as well. Disappointment with people, disappointment with experiences, disappointment with purchases that we have. The reality is that so often that disappointment is simply because the actual lived experience and the thing didn't meet the expectation, not what was promised on the tin. And that's an interesting thing. I've just been through something recently where somebody was having a real problem with something that they were a part of. And actually, the more I looked at it and the more I kind of helped them evaluate the situation, it was very much, well, your problem is because not that you were missold, but that you had an expectation that you didn't check, and that you ended up in this thing, and then it didn't meet the expectations that it never promised to meet in the first place. And that is always a recipe for like disaster. I think one of the things that we were kind of like talking about at the beginning of this is, one of the reasons we have such success within our professional relationship and our friendship and this business is because we actually don't approach one another with expectations about what the other person is going to do or be or say. Except that Victoria will do all the building of the crazy websites. But it is that kind of like, it's not successful if we're both trying to be each other, or trying to outcompete each other, or trying to be, something that we're not, in order to make something work.
Yep. And I'll just use myself for an example. Like, I have had a habit my entire life of trying to be not even a real version of myself, but force myself into, and Victoria's always said this, I'm a round peg and I keep trying to fit myself into a square hole, or vice versa. And it doesn't work, because I'm trying to be something that I'm not. And one of the things that has continued to hold me back is I actually was never educated or understood the concept of stepping back and seeing myself for what I really was, and being okay with that, and figuring out how I work in the world first and foremost, and then applying that to, whatever I was endeavoring in. And I've even done it in Unveil. Like, I see Victoria, and she's got all this huge, amazing skill set that growing up, I've always said that is super, super, super valuable. Everyone's feedback from society, from every like jobs, it's like if you can produce, then there's lots of value in that. And if you can't produce, then you're not worth so much. And I, just the way that I am, I'm not a work producer. But I have this whole other skill set where I see big vision and just understand what audiences want and need, and like how I'm even having trouble putting it into words, of course. And I had always kind of denied that. I knew that I thrived in that area, but I didn't know how to apply it, or that it was even valuable, because it's something I'd never been taught was valuable. It's like, okay, great, you can come up with the idea, but you're not necessarily producing anything. I didn't know that I could be the leader of a situation and be like, okay, this is my vision and the ideas and everything. And then recruit people to my side who are super excited about doing that, who actually are naturally producers. And then, hey, how can we figure out how to do this? And can you help me? That was another thing. I would never ask for help, because if I couldn't do it by myself, then that meant I was making that mean something about me. Because I had this idea that I have to be a producer. And if I can't produce, then
you're not successful.
Exactly.
And the whole element of all of this is that when Brace says that he's been doing it within the company, he's correct. Like, he's been trying to be somebody that he's not, essentially to keep up with me, because I am a ridiculous workaholic, and my output level is huge because I'm just built that way, and I see the systems and I see what needs doing, and I will just do it.
And it's amazing. And
I'm
like, oh God.
Well, it has its own little set of problems. Like, this is not, there's neither way is the right way. It's not successful for me to be slaving over doing everything. A big part of our decision to bring on other people is based in this. We can both individually and together invest a ton of time in being the thing that we can just about be if we try. And Brace kept saying to me, like, I know I'll get it. Like, I just need to get it. Once I got it, I'm the best than anybody at it. And I'm like, I'm sure that's true, but like, why do you want to put that much effort into getting something that is not in your wheelhouse right now? And even we had a conversation the other day where we were talking about the tasks that we're going to be handing over. And Brace like constructed this thing that he wanted to hand over. And I was like, you're still trying to do the thing. Why don't you just like create the content and give it to somebody else to do? And it's so ingrained because it's conditioning. Yes. And what Brace is really talking about is that conditioning of what is successful as a human being within society. A lot of our earliest conversations, Brace and I would have about various elements of business and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, but he would say, but if I can't do the things, then I'm not useful. I'm like, no, that's not true.
Well, and that's the beautiful thing. It's unlearning that has been so freeing for me. I can't even begin to express to everyone like how freeing that is. And it still creeps in. It still creeps in because I've been that way for 40 some odd years. And now with the work, I can catch myself when I'm in it, when I'm in that headspace, when I feel misaligned, like heavy in the stomach, like worried, waiting. I know that is not who I am. And so I can much more easily see it and then let it go. And it's okay. And I understand why that comes up. And it's something that I continue to get to work on and work through. And because I have been doing the work, I have called in my perfect business partner, just as she called me in as well. It's such a cool dynamic, and we get to be successful together, and we get to help each other along this road called life.
Well, and just to say as well, like just to put the other spin on it. So what Brace is describing is he has a set of skills that are not what society deems to be success creating and success making. Whereas I sit on the opposite of that, where my ability to do as much as I can do, and that's self-taught. Like I needed to build a website, so I learned how to build a website. I needed to build a marketing thing, so I learned how to. I just did it because I can, but it leaves me now really in that position of not being successful just because I can generate a lot of output. That's not success. Like that's just me being able to sit at a computer 24/7 and actually work. Success for me is getting into my zone where, and I don't like the term zone of genius, but it's the one that people use. But it is that, what am I actually here to do? And what I feel I'm here to do is all to do with ending suffering. That's kind of my personal mission, ending individual and collective suffering. And I don't do that because I can build a sexy landing page. Like nobody's suffering has ended because we've got our nurture sequence built. It's like, in fact, mine has just increased several fold. So, but what is going to end people's suffering? I mean, that's a grand claim, but what is going to work on that is the content that we're creating. It is the course. It is the teaching. It is me stepping into that role as coach, as teacher, as trainer, and as mentor. And that means that success for me is carving out the time to be the thing that fulfills my mission. And it looks successful that I can do all the things, and the amount of stuff that has been created in a short time within our business is insane, but it's not successful. Like it's not successful that we've got a lot of stuff. What's successful is me being me. And that, I think, is the biggest thing that people miss when they talk about success and prosperity. The most successful thing you can be is you, not anything else, not the person that is going to try and make the money and do the thing. Like if you are someone who is, I don't know, Elon Musk-esque. Sorry, he's on my mind at the moment because I keep watching space-related documentaries, and also the whole Amber Heard, Johnny Depp thing, which we're not going to go into. But also, oh my goodness,
that would be like a whole week of podcasts.
Right. Well, also, like if you are interested in this and you want to have a bit of a bitch, just we'll tag her in the comments. But Megan Toma is doing some amazing stuff on her Instagram right now, just literally covering the whole trial and like talking about relationships. She's a really good relationship coach. We'll have her on the podcast at some point, actually. She's all about ending toxic relationships, and she's sort of having a field day with the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard toxicity. And the lying. Anyway, Elon Musk, like he is like a crazy geek, space passionate person. So clearly building SpaceX is him being very successful because it's being him. He's able to be quirky. He's able to be inventive. I'm sure there's a load of stuff. And Brace and I were talking the other day, and we may do this. We may just create our real series of like, what if fill in the blank famous celebrity person had a coach, and the difference that would happen in the world. But it is that sense of success is you-ness. It's not being something. There's no success in having an external identity. There's only real success in having your identity. And identity is a funny one because your identity can have other identifiers on it. I'm a coach. I'm a healer. I'm a, daughter. I'm a friend. I'm a business partner. I'm a CEO. All of those things are part of my selfness. And it's not wrong to say that that is part of who I am. But I'm not successful because I am those things. Those things come along with me as I step out into the world.
Yes. It's really about coming back to you, everyone. It's really about coming back to you. Let all the exterior criteria go and really get back to you. What do you want? What do you need?
And if you don't know, that's okay. Like, it's not, this is difficult. When I say this is the hardest piece of homework I can give in a 6-month or a 12-month coaching container, I am not joking, because a lot of the homework I give is not because I want to see the end result. I incredibly rarely look at my clients' homework. I don't really care. What I care about is the process they've gone through to get there. And so when people hit into this desires list and success list and what they really, really want, it's often the first time they've ever asked themselves that question. And if you're experiencing that schism with Brace asking you all these questions today, and you're like, I don't even know how to think about the problem, welcome to the club. That's literally everyone. And I'll make this super personal as well. I don't know either. I can't remember if I've said it on the podcast before, but I'll say it again. One of the biggest consequences of my illness was that I got taught by it and by life that wanting anything was not going to work. It wasn't appropriate. You know, I set so many goals and dreams over the course of the decade that I was really sick. And none of them came true. None of them were possible. And I just learned that there was no point in even daring to dream or to hope. And so it's still a characteristic now. It's like, it takes me a lot. I haven't even spoken to Brace about it, but I had a really big vision for our academy the other day. And I was just like, we're not going to talk about that one just yet, because we're not allowed to hope that one's going to happen. And it is an interesting thing that's happened for me specifically, and so to anyone with an experience that has happened, which has pulled the rug from under their feet. It really does shock you enough to make you feel like life is not trustable, and therefore, why would you ever have wants? Because they're never going to come true, and you can't trust anything on anyone or life itself. It's just where we end up. We naturally discount our dreaming potential because we're taught by life that that's not what's going to happen. It's interesting, actually. Sorry, you go.
No, I was actually gonna ask you a question, because I totally resonate with that in very different ways. So if we have that come up, like that's just a child's fantasy. That is just a dream. Having my own company, or having that dream relationship that, I want, or fill in the blank. Everyone, fill in your child fantasy. What do we as individuals do in order to move closer to that, where it's not such a child's fantasy, but is actually attainable, and helping ourselves understand that it is attainable? There's something in our nervous system that's like, no, that's not attainable. And what would be the first step, do you think?
Well, the first step is the recognition that if you have access to it somewhere, as a vision, as a thought, as a whisper in the dim recesses of your brain or your heart, it is already in your nervous system. Because you wouldn't be able to feel it if it wasn't there. So having access to that it's just innate, because it came from you. And it's not like somebody came up in the middle of the night, the Sandman came up and sprinkled some dust in your ear and was just like, this is a vision from outside of you. It's a dream from within you. And okay, it's influenced by Disney movies, and it's influenced by, watching other people on social media. But somewhere in that, you want the feeling, if not the actual thing. So why do we want a dream relationship? Well, it's because we can feel safe. We can exhale. We can just feel held. We can feel loved. We can feel completely seen in all that we are and all that we do. So what we want is that sense of, sorry to say it, but safety. So again, why do we want the money? It's because we feel like if we have enough money and it's consistent and it's reliable, we will be, fill in the blank, safe. And the reality with the whole not dreaming thing, the reason we stop is because life has told us that it is not going to happen. And actually not dreaming is a symptom of trauma. It's a symptom of having an experience which was destabilizing. And completely destabilizing in a way that when, life as you know it has just gone, and you don't have that predictability anymore. So if you can't access that sense of possibility within you, typically it's because something somewhere showed you that the road was never going to just go in a straight line, and that it was full of, sharp left turns and, bumping you off the track. And realistically, I know you said what's the one thing and the simple thing, but realistically, the way to dream again is to work on what has been spoiled. So you actually work on that sense that life is trustworthy. And it takes different amounts of time for different people. People who've been with us through this journey and listened to some of our earliest episodes about our meeting and what we're doing now. It took a lot for me to trust in firstly Elementum, doing the course. It took a lot for me to trust in you, and that you weren't going to let me down and be like everybody else in my life. And that was a big part of our early actually, even to when I was in LA, it's a big part of our relationship and our friendship. It's like I really had to push Brace away a lot to realize that he was going to be around. And that isn't something that I can just wave a magic wand and just go, oh no, people are trustworthy. Life is trustworthy, particularly men who say they care about me. They are trustworthy. It's like, that's just fiction. It takes experience. The only thing that teaches the human nervous system difference is experience. You have to experience something different. So you can set yourself mini goals. Like I dream that I can afford fish and chips every Friday. I don't know why I'm so British today, but that's a very British thing. Is that an American thing or not? Like fish and chips?
Fish and chips?
Fish and chip Friday.
We have it.
No, but fish and chip Friday.
Fish and chip Friday? Maybe not.
Yeah, no, like it's a whole thing. The only reason I'm saying is because I was walking around Said Common just before we jumped on, and like I saw this person, and I just went, I know that family are going to the chip shop because there's one in the village. And I was right. She says, how long do you think we're going to have to wait at the fish and chip shop? I was just like, oh my God. So anyway, fish and chip Friday. I wish I could afford the fish and chips every Friday for my family. That's not a big dream. It actually doesn't require any miracles. You just readjust some finances. Don't buy the coffee three days of the week and you've got enough for fish and chip Friday with your family. Like, it's just prove to yourself that something is possible. Now, for me, my proof has needed to be really extreme. It's taken a lot. I've been very, 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 very lucky recently. I say lucky. Maybe we create our own luck. I have, found some people very recently who I finally feel like, present company included, Brace, that there is actually, I'm allowed to dream a little bit again. I'm allowed to contemplate, that thing is, going to happen. And finding allies in this world, for me, was a dream. It's always been a dream. That community, it's a big part of the reason why I'm thinking about spending some time in Austin. It's like these dreams, you have to actually put some effort into going and getting them. But also, you have to be willing to fail. Oh, that's the point of this podcast. In order to really achieve success, you have to be willing to fail.
And we also get to define fail, because we always have, this is a success, this is a failure. Mm-hmm. It's like, is that necessarily true? Mm. It's like, does it have to be so black and white? Because I think we miss out on a lot of opportunity if we're like, I'm a failure in this. Mm. It's, I don't know. I don't think we should do that to ourselves. Like, one of the main questions I would encourage everyone to ask themselves initially before you work out all the details of every single thing is, and it's something, Victoria, you said earlier, and I wrote it down. Are you okay with where you are? Are you okay with where you are? And just be honest. Are you okay with if you can say yes, you may get absolutely nothing from this podcast. If you are perfectly content and happy and feel prosperous in your life, maybe this wasn't the one for you. But if there are those of you out there who the answer is no, I'm not okay with where I am in whatever realm that is, then that to me is amazing. That is awesome. The fact that you were just like, you know what? No, I'm not okay. Holy smokes, you just took a huge step toward what is actually going to make you okay. Like where you want to go, because you're going into that voice, that deep part of you that's like, there is more. There is more for you. The potential is there. Do we know how to get there? Maybe not necessarily right now, but just the admission of that is hopefully going to take you on a wonderful journey. And it's one of those where it's up, down, left, right, roller coaster, crazy, all the things. What an exciting thing. You want to talk about getting to live, not just surviving, living. Man, what a beautiful experience. Because one day you're going to lie down and close your eyes for the last time. We're all going to do it. And we get to look back on our lives and say, did I just live? Or did I just survive? Or did I actually live? Oh, man.
And just to extend a bit of compassion to those people who are listening to Brace speak and thinking it's impossible for me because you backed yourself into a corner, or it's too scary, or it would involve putting other people at risk, particularly, family members, if you take the leap and jack in the job or whatever it is. Admitting we're not happy with a life that we've created is one of the hardest things to do. Admitting we're not fulfilled with a life that we essentially have designed is one of the hardest things to do. And being willing to break down the infrastructure of what we have constructed to attempt to find something better that is not yet a guarantee is really, really difficult. And I sort of am privileged to have a real connection to what feels like there is integrity to it, or it is aligned or whatever. And I, with my history, sort of have an absolute unwillingness to put up with things that don't feel absolutely aligned. So it was actually really easy for me to break down my business in London and jet off to South Africa and just destroy effectively what was a very successful business, because it wasn't right. But I know that is a privilege that I had because I went through a lot of experiences, which meant that I'm not willing to settle for things not feeling aligned. But I know that there's a lot of other people where there's a lot more in their life that has collateral damage if they make big self-led decisions. And that's not something that I had to deal with. It's probably one person that really has been affected by my following my dreams, and not many others. And negatively so. Other people have benefited, obviously, but there is. It is easy to say being selfish is selfless. It's really difficult to do, because what you're doing when you decide to take leaps like we're talking about is you're building uncertainty and fear into a situation that was once stable. And it doesn't matter to your, let's say, for example, your partner, it does matter, but it's like they're not sitting there feeling unfulfilled and like there's consequences to this external success but internal suffering. They're sitting there pretty content with the life that they've got, perhaps. But are they? Because the one thing I would say is that there is nothing like being around people who are on mission, in flow, really living from their essence. And so just because everyone feels safe within the container of life that you have constructed doesn't mean that everyone's feeling as if it's creating energy for the whole unit. It can often feel like such a relief when you have the difficult conversation, or when you have the guts to say, this is not serving me anymore. You don't need to present it as a completed thought process and a decision that you're, I don't know, let's continue with the example, leaving your job. But you do get to have the conversation, because there is nothing more respectful and intimate than sharing with someone that you love that you're struggling and you want to work with them to move to the other side.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. It's something that I have the privilege of doing with my wife all the time. And it's something that we've grown into even more so in the past couple of years. Just this kind of open and honest, hey, something is off. I need your support in trying to find out and figure out what that is. Are you open to going on this journey with me? And then staying open for whatever that response might be, and not taking it personally if it's like, no, because the other person may have stuff come up for themselves that doesn't mean anything about you. That's their stuff. But you guys, everyone gets to work on it together. And the opportunity is there. Will some people take it? Yes. Will some people not take it? Also, yes.
And it's not a failure that you're sitting there needing to make radical change. I don't know a single person, successful person, that I would consider genuinely successful, that hasn't at some point completely trashed their life in order to get the success that they now have. I don't know a single one.
And if you asked them now, did you trash your life? They'll probably say, you know what? It wasn't the smoothest transition, but it was absolutely necessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely necessary.
And I think the depths of this are not that if you do this, you will get external success, money, relationships, trappings. It's like people try and hack this by going, oh, well, if I just be vulnerable and I do the me thing, then I'll get the thing. And it's like, no, you have to stop wanting the thing. It's partly the reason why I have an issue with manifestation. And it's like, you have to not want the thing. Like let me explain that a bit more, because it's not about not wanting it.
It's attaining the thing is not the ultimate goal.
Yeah, well, that, and also, if you're you and you're living as you will actually not care about the money, the relationships, because you will feel like everything in your life is supposed to be there. So it's not about going into it going, oh, and then I will get the thing. It's like respecting that the goals will shift.
And everything that comes to you will be a byproduct of you being true to yourself. Like everything just kind of lays itself out in front of you.
Well, it's the secret.
In whatever way.
In whatever way.
Yeah.
And we're terrible at predicting what we actually want. Like we're really good at predicting what we need as a feeling, but we're shit at then attributing that to an actual thing. And typically, not always, but typically. And the secret to like why my life is working now isn't because I particularly have tried to get friends or do anything. It's because I finally said to the universe, okay, so you want me to do the whole mission. All right, then I'll stop doing this little fake mission that I'm doing now, where I'm helping a lot of people, but I'm not really helping. And I'll do the real mission, the real Victoria mission. And that isn't, one day mission on, I've suddenly got a tribe of people, a team of helpers, a business. It's, all right, you literally waited 35 years to get to this point, you idiot. Get on with it. it's kind of how it feels. I literally was saying, I was talking to my coach about this the other day. I was like, I'm so annoyed with myself. Like, because I've been in this, like, it's not, I found this work late in my life and I've spent a lifetime doing other things. I've been in this work for 20 years, learning, evolving, growing, breathing through it and actually using it. And still had enough things that kept my, to be honest, my pain really hidden, and therefore my healing really hidden, until last year. And so I don't get to sit here and beat myself up that I didn't find it sooner, but like still I'm beating myself up that I didn't find it sooner, basically because I feel like a bit of a fraud. It's like, oh my God, Victoria, you really should have known. You should have known this. You should have known that you were, you needed to make the change. But I think particularly sorry.
No, well, that doesn't, I mean, beating yourself up. I should have. I mean, that doesn't help any of us.
No, it doesn't. But I also do want to say to people that it's very real for me to say that that's a lived experience that I'm going through at the moment. And it's not enough to just spiritually bypass and say that's not there. And I think this is the thing that's really bugging me at the moment about our industry. It's why I'm building what I'm building. It's why, like, I mean, if you were in my brain planning out our coach training academy at this moment in time,
you would run at
the amount of effort that's going to be involved. But the reason I'm frustrated with the industry is because there is a lot of talk of everything's welcome, with a second comment of, but we're going over here, and positive mental attitudes and mindset is everything, or mindset perspective. And it's like, there's very little in the coaching industry in particular of real acceptance of this moment right now, with all of the compromise, the trauma, the stress, the struggle, the blindness, the self-manipulation, the self-judgment, the self-hatred at times, the shadow. And I think that's the biggest problem with it's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem in the coaching industry is people practicing outside their scope of practice. But the second biggest problem is there's no comprehension of shadow. There's no comprehension that it's not okay to say, with an energy of, but I want to shift this to the next stage, everything is welcome. And everyone I have heard for years now in the coaching space, in particular the like performance coaching space, those like coachy people, they say everything is welcome, but the energy underneath them says, but we're going to try and get you to the next stage in 3 months. I only need 3 months with you. Not, this is a really big year-long container. It frustrates the heck out of me, and I didn't know I was going to go there today. It's been a topic of conversation that I've been having this week, and it's very much, it's not what you say as a coach, it is who you are in the room. And so many times people try and scapegoat the pain and say it's not useful or it's not valuable or like, but it doesn't matter, it's not accurate. Feelings are not about accurate. They're about feelings. And for me, my reality right now, as I'm trying to integrate all the things that I'm doing, is jostling with this sense of, I should have known it sooner, should have seen it sooner, should have dropped my guard sooner, it's like, and also I shouldn't therefore show up as a professional and pretend that I know what I'm doing if I've had this hanging around for however long. And it's like, none of that's true, but all of it's real for me. And it isn't,
and you get
valuable.
To experience it.
Exactly that, Bryce. Yeah. It isn't that I need to try and make it go away quicker. It isn't that I'm like, I should have the skill set to be able to resolve this. Right now, the reality is that grief phase of knowing that I've carried something for way longer than I, quote, needed to carry it. And it has led to so much compromise, even despite me having been around this material. And I don't get to not hate it because I hate it. And I don't get to, I swear, like, I'm rereading books that I have read before, but I didn't have all the information for myself. So I didn't read it thinking about myself. I read it to become a professional that could help other people. And it's so strange what I'm going through to actually find all of this stuff. And right now, it's funny that we've done this podcast today, but it's like, I don't feel very successful. Like, I don't feel like I'm winning at life. Like, yes, I've got my visa, but the champagne's still in the fridge because I didn't really want to open it. It kind of just happened in the end, and it was like, oh, okay. And yes, I'm coming back, and I really am going home, but there is that uncertainty that's still there about where am I going to be and all the things. And I'm building something amazing with a great person to build something with, and that feels great, but it's not here. So I get to sit in that I don't feel very successful. I don't feel like a failure. I really don't feel like a failure because I'm very careful with my language. But I don't feel like this was on my vision board. Not only did I not make a vision board, but it's like, this wasn't on my vision board. This feels right. It feels correct. It feels appropriate. It feels liberating. It feels like the right steps, but I almost feel like I am starting again. And right now, that's not exciting. That sucks.
Starting again.
Yeah.
And I'm sure so many people listening, as soon as you said that, were like, one of my biggest fears.
Start again. Burn down the house. And happily this time I am not burning down the house. I didn't really last time, but I'm not really burning down the house. I'm kind of looking at the house going, this is such a oh my God, house thing again. This is such a beautiful house. The foundations are amazing. The infrastructure is amazing. The location's amazing. But we need to recalibrate all the rooms inside it because the flow doesn't work. And I get to do that. Yeah. I have a feng shui friend, actually. If anyone's interested in feng shui, we'll pop her stuff in the show notes. And she offered to feng shui things, but I had to say to her, I don't have a home for you to feng shui yet. But it's interesting because in the last place I was in, I was very disjointed, wasn't I? And I got here and I was like, oh, can exhale. And it wasn't anything to do with, it wasn't terrible. It was all in one room and it was just confusing to my nervous system. These things really matter. Why do you think we have Unveiled Premier, which is like everything? Because it all matters. Like, I don't know how to say it in a simpler way. It's like how to be successful. Well, pay attention to everything. And that reminds me of something that I was going to say earlier on. And I realized that I'm on a roll and I've just spoken for a lot, Brace. I apologize. But the other thing about the coach industry that I flip and hate, trash my own industry right now. How you do one thing is how you do everything. That is true, but it doesn't look true because what that actually means is the way your nervous system is programmed will influence the way you approach most things, but there will be huge variation in those things depending on what type of thing it's eliciting from your nervous system. And very often we prioritize success in one area because it's the easier one and we don't have to get into messy waters for our nervous system. So one area looks successful and another area is failing, suffering, whatever you want to say. And so that whole how you do one thing is how you do everything is a really negative thing to say because it encourages this blindness to the stuff where you really are experiencing pain. And oftentimes the example will be people are working really hard and not prioritizing their relationships and their home life, or they're so focused on their kids that they're not prioritizing themselves. And it's like that whole notion of how you do one thing is how you do everything is so much deeper than everything is the same. That's not what it's saying. It's saying your nervous system is leading to an approach of similarity, but that will have different impacts in different areas of your life because of the nature of those areas. We should probably title this podcast Victoria Destroys All Coach Industry Myths.
That might be actually a really cool one to do. It's like the myths.
We'll do one like that when we come nearer to the launch of our Coach Training Academy, because there is a reason why I'm interested in building something like this. And it is because it's needed. There is a huge gap in the market for the type of coaching training that I believe is absolutely essential. And it's my calling to provide it. And every time I mention it to people, they really feel positive about it. So, and just to say to people, because that's quite a way off, the Transformational Healing Retreat is a little mini version of what we're going to be training people to do. And that's the other thing, actually. If you want to really know how to be successful, work with us. We'll help. Get help. Like, come to our workshop. It's really cheap. You get to spend 2 days with us. You get to ask your questions. You get to experience, literally, we are going to deliver you a mini version of Unveil Premier. We'll show you how to do it. We'll show you what we do and what it means to have an integrated, holistic approach to self. And when you have that, you literally can't not make changes, be successful, strive, alter things. And then do our online healing retreat, and you'll heal a lot of past trauma stuff. It wasn't intended to be a pitch for our own services, Bryce, but you know.
Well, and that's important. It's like once you are ready to take the step into the quote unquote unknown, you know, about what all this feels like. How do I move to, if this resonates, you're like, yes, you know, I want to start to shift stuff in my life. How do I do that? Seek support. Come hang out with us. Ask all the questions, like Victoria was saying. Like, learn what it feels like to be in that kind of space where it's safe and you can experiment and you can't do anything wrong. You can't actually hurt yourself at all. You can only good things can come of it because of the way it's designed and the way that we move through these situations. We're not one to re-traumatize anything This is a very safe environment to really look at yourself and get serious and have some guidance in how to approach that.
Yeah. And to speak of our workshop as well, this is the reason why the replays are only going to be available for 7 days. It's to preserve the sanctity and the safety of the container. If you want to be coached live by us during the workshop and you want us to stop the recording, guess what? We'll stop the recording. This is not, we're not here to make life difficult for anyone. And if you need a safe place to come and just say, I'm really struggling. I don't feel like I'm getting there. I don't feel like it's working. We've left enough white space in our event to completely segue into something that's valuable for the whole. So that's what we're doing it for. It's why we work the way we do. And to just be super specific on that, there's a lot of hedging about how much all of this costs in the coaching industry as well. Victoria once again goes into throwing the industry under the bus. You know, coaching with me directly in one of my immersive containers is expensive. There's no getting around it. I am very full on with my clients. It is intense. I am basically giving of myself energetically every moment, even when we're not speaking to one another. And that's a big part of what working with me is. Speaking honestly, working with Brace is less expensive. And he's flipping awesome at this exact thing. Seeing the reasons why you're not successful, championing your success, helping you and holding your hand to get you out of the very thing that you're struggling to get out of, and seeing your potential, seeing enough of the trauma imprints to support you to move through the imprints and move through the symptoms that are existing in the now. And Brace is one of those people who will have you enthusiastic about blowing up your own entire life within about 5 minutes. So if you want to have one of those kind of discovery calls, he is available. Because that's kind of his MO. Not blowing up your life, just making you enthusiastic for the potential of change.
For a split second, I was like, I feel like I need to say something else to make people not absolutely terrified.
No, not the blowing up your life bit, but if it's necessary, he won't hesitate to tell you.
Yeah, I feel like honesty and leading you to an honest place within yourself is one of the greatest things that you can do for yourself. And just understanding and seeing and not beating yourself up when you get to that place, but it's like taking this loving, gentle approach to you and deconstructing everything that has been layered upon yourself that we just need to peel away. And then we get to a much more simple state of acceptance. And then we get to say, okay, now what does the rest of this journey look like? And that's pretty exciting for me, especially.
And that's and just to sort of like conclude with, if it feels super scary and it feels like it's something that you want to do but you don't know how, get support. Don't
Absolutely.
do nothing. That's the one thing that I would say. If you want to know how to be able to find your dreams and your success, don't do nothing, because there's one guarantee: nothing will happen if you do nothing. You know, and we at Unveil, we do initial conversations with clients, and we match. So if you fill in our application form, we match you to the right person, whether that's one of us two, one of the people we know, people we work with. We are always, we don't care who, quote, gets the client. We quote that the client gets the best coach for them. Yep. But everyone that we work with does completely free initial discussions. They are not time limited. They are not, you know, pressured. There's no hard sell at the end. You're not getting into anything that you can't get yourself out of if you need to. And absolutely everything is designed for you to get any support you need. And so there's no risk to booking a discovery call with one of us. And you can't do that directly. You'd have to apply, and that's intentional. But you get to give yourself the gift of exploring the question of what if. And if you feel like you've got to this point in this really long and rambling, crazy, non-linear podcast, as per, and you're like, I just want to dip my toe in the water, go fill in our application form. The reason I say that is because I've designed it with questions that help you think about yourself in a beautiful way, in a safe way, in a what do I really want way. And we'll read it and we'll help you. And if we are not the right people for you, I mean, you should see some of my I don't think we're the right people for you emails. I give people guidance, pointers, direction, references, resources, book recommendations. Follow this person on Instagram, because I care that people get the support. And one of my real strengths and gifts is knowing where that specific support for that person will be, especially if it's not me and us.
Beautifully said. Let's move from success to prosper. Let's do that. And you get to do that. But the only person that can do that is you. Nothing external is going to make it there. It's all within you. So be honest with yourself. Are you okay with where you are? And then make the leap.
Have a glass of wine and then make the leap.
Sure. And that's okay. But the beautiful thing is, everyone, well, I'll just speak for myself. Making the leap, you realize there's no way you could have fallen, because what looked like a big cliff was actually just a jumping off point. That's all. And that's
so interesting. And just to finish this, because that's such a good point, Brace. People think they're going to fail when they make the leap, because the leaps they've made before have been to external other successes that are outside of themselves that they thought they wanted. So we learn that the leaps create failures because we leap to something that's external that we didn't really want in the first place. All we're saying is leap inside, leap into your heart, into your soul. There's literally no place from which to fall when you're going in, because you're not going anywhere over there. So all you find is that you may have some lumps and bumps and tough points and tension spots, but you get to soothe them out just gently for yourself, with yourself. And it's not an external leap. It's an internal unveiling.
Yeah, you can only fly, everyone. You can only fly.
Don't go jumping off any cliffs. This is not we're not telling anybody to actually jump off cliffs and see if they can sprout wings. Legal disclaimers. Be sensible.
Beautiful. I loved this discussion. I knew it was going to be great because you asked, you're like, do you want to like necessarily bullet point this? And we were like, no.
Mostly, I think I was just completely, by that point, I was just done with trying to go live on Instagram. I was just like, I cannot write this out. Let's just press record.
Yes, we will figure out our Instagram debacle and report back. We
won't, and we'll just be together next time.
That's right. Boom.
Yeah, it won't be for the next podcast, guys. It will be for the one. Oh, now I'm doing it. It will be for the one after that, at the very earliest. So, yeah, there's a couple to go when we're still transatlantic, but soon I will be home.
Yes. But for now, my name is Brace Harris,
and my name is Victoria Fenton,
and we are
Unveiled.
Stay informed with all things Unveil. Sign up for the newsletter at unveilenterprises.com/sign up.